Back here on Spotlight, the AFC South was one of the NFL's most competitive divisions in 2025. Both the Jags and the Texans, top 10 wins. The Colts looked like legitimate contenders early in the season. If these teams make the right moves this offseason, the race in 2026 could be even tighter. To break down the AFC South and those top free agents that they might be looking for, Ryan Wilson, John Breech back with us. We have Mr. Frugal and Ryan Wilson, and we have Mr. Fancy and John Breech. That's what I will be calling you. Although I'm not sure if it's going to break down the same way in this segment, so we'll see. We're going to start with the Jags. Their offense, it looks promising. You got Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr. out there. The defense, though, needs a little bit of work. So, Ryan, when you look at this roster, where do they need the most help?
Jenny, I'm going to save you a little money with the Jacksonville Jaguars on defense. Here we go. Look, Travis Hunter is going to play primarily cornerback, it sounds like, but they still have other needs there. Monteric Brown's contract's going to be up. Greg Newsome II's contract's going to be up. So I'm going to find you a guy, former first-round pick, who was traded not too long ago from the Saints to the Commanders, Marshon Lattimore. Now, it didn't quite work out in Washington for whatever reason. He's still only 29 years old, and if he is committed to getting back to the level that we saw when he was in New Orleans, then this is going to be a steal. It's going to come on the cheap because he has a lot to prove based on how he played in Washington, and part of that was because he was banged up. But also the Jaguars are nearly $16 million over the cap, so they don't have a lot of wiggle room right now. They can do the salary cap, pushing the papers around and free up some money there. But I think Marshon Lattimore, if he's interested and willing to get back to his form, would be a guy that you would play a lot, and you love the idea of that veteran leadership playing opposite Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and you look at Jacksonville's defense, they really could use some help on each level. They could use a pass rusher. Ryan just mentioned a defensive back. I'm going to go with a linebacker. We know that Devin Lloyd is almost certainly leaving in free agency, and so they really need someone to kind of fill his shoes. I'm going to go with Quay Walker, the Packers linebacker, someone who could come in, and he's going to know this defense right away because he has a connection with Jacksonville defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli, who was his position coach, the linebackers coach in Green Bay in 2024. So because of that tie, you have someone who can come in, he can contribute, he'll know the defense, and so that really should help Jacksonville out. And so, as Ryan said, Marshon Lattimore could be good. They also need pass rushing, but they do need to get the middle of that linebacking unit figured out if they want to be a good defense this year.
I want to move on now to Houston, and the biggest concern for them is protecting C.J. Stroud. He's been sacked 75 times over his last 31 games. Even just reading that hurts my body. So you got your franchise QB. How do you fix this O-line, Ryan?
Jenny, it almost feels like what they're doing so far in the offseason is trying to set the single-season sack record next year. So hopefully they're going to make some moves to help C.J. Stroud, as you know. Juice Scruggs is gone. Breech mentioned that in the last segment. They traded Titus Howard. I'm going to get you another bargain because they're over the salary cap by about $8 million in Houston. Jamari Sawyer played for the Chargers, drafted out of Georgia. Under the radar, really good 2025 season. He has tackle guard versatility. He did get benched in 2024, but he bounced back nicely last year. Had to play under some trying circumstances because everybody and their brother was hurt along the offensive line in Los Angeles. And I think at least he gives you some stability, and he will give you that stability with some affordability along with it. And once they get cap compliant, if you want to go spend more money on somebody, I'm fine with that. But we're all about pinching the pennies here, Breech. So I go Jamari Sawyer, guard or tackle for Houston.
Yeah, the Texans have had an interesting strategy on the offensive line. They tried to blow things up and start over last year, and apparently that's also their plan for this year. Ryan already mentioned you traded away Titus Howard, and you're essentially starting over. Juice Scruggs is in Detroit, and so what do? I'm going to have them go after Wyatt Teller from Cleveland. And really, they could just call up the Browns and say, hey, can we have the phone number of everyone who was on your offensive line last year? Because Cleveland has 5 guys. All 5 of their starters are about to hit free agency. It's not just Teller. It's Joel Bitonio, Jack Conklin, Tevin Jenkins. So there's a whole host of guys that the Texans should call and potentially be interested in because they do need so much help on the offensive line. But Teller is probably the highest caliber player available from that unit. He is somebody who would come in and instantly upgrade that spot on the O-line. And as you said, Jetty, C.J. Stroud is just taking sacks at an untenable rate. You can't keep getting hit that often and really be expected to be successful. So they've got to figure something out, and I think Wyatt Teller would help.
It's impossible to keep getting hit that many times and be successful. I want to ask about the Colts now. They surprised a lot of people last season. You know, Daniel Jones started off so strong before injuries derailed things over there. But defensively, the pass rush was middle of the pack there. 39 sacks, ranked 15th in the league. Ryan, where do you feel like the Colts should look?
Yeah, they need to go edge rush, and they need to get better there. 2 years ago in that draft where we had 6 quarterbacks drafted in the top 12, the first defensive player came off the board at 15. That was Leatu Latu out of UCLA, the edge rusher for the Colts. He hasn't quite hit his stride yet. I feel like this is going to have to be his year in 2026. He has to get after it and be that number one edge guy. I'm going to help the Colts with A.J. Epinesa. We're going to start spending a little money here. This is going to cost you a little more. Edge rusher who began his career for the Buffalo Bills. He's not a number one edge rusher, but he's a guy that can come in and require you to, if you're going to double team someone like Latu, he is going to get home and create pressures. He's stout against the run. He can knock down passes if he does not get home. So I think he offers you that versatility, that yeoman-like effort that he's going to bring each and every down. Again, not the flashiest player, but he does the dirty work, and I think he would go be a step in the right direction to re-solidifying this defensive line, this front four, which was not lights out, as you mentioned, Jenny. They're more average than above average last year.
Ryan is finally willing to spend some money, and I have to come in here and overshadow him by emptying the bank account. I think the Colts should go after Trey Hendrickson. I think this would be a perfect fit. We know, obviously, the Bengals did not franchise tag him, so he is going to become a free agent. And if you're Indy, the one automatic tie you have is your defensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo was Trey Hendrickson's defensive coordinator with the Bengals for several seasons. You look at 2 of Hendrickson's most successful seasons in Cincinnati, that would be 2023 and 2024. He had 17 and a half sacks in each of those seasons. He led the NFL in sacks in 2024, and he did all of that under Anarumo. So no one understands his skill set better or knows how to put him in a position to succeed better than Anarumo. So if you're Hendrickson, you should want to go there. And the Colts obviously need the pass rushing help. So this would be a huge get for Indy.
Spending that money. That's a lot of money to spend over there. Finally, Tennessee, the Titans, they're building around their rookie quarterback under their new head coach and OC over there. Where's their biggest need, Ryan?
By the way, Jenny, John is the guy at the auction that bids on every single item. He just keeps driving up the price when you're trying to get
Even
something
if he
for
doesn't want
affordable.
it.
Yeah, he just exactly. He's not even going to use it. All right, well, I'm emptying the bank for this one because the Titans have more salary cap space than they could possibly use, and they have dire needs at wide receiver. I'm going with Rashid Shaheed, who was traded to the Seattle Seahawks last year, and all he did was set the world on fire with the way he played. He is a true game stretcher. The Titans drafted 2 wide receivers last year in Alec Ayuminor and Shamir DK. They drafted Gunnar Helm, the tight end. None of those guys are stretching the field like Rashid Shaheed is, and that will allow Cam Ward just to throw jump balls and let Shaheed run underneath him. I think he would be a difference maker, and it's going to come at a price, and that's a price they have the ability to pay, and that's worth paying. So, Breech, bid on that.
Well, I can't do it because apparently I'm going with all reunions here. I had Quay Walker reuniting in Jacksonville with his former linebackers coach, Trey Hendrickson with his former defensive coordinator, and now I have John Franklin Myers going to Tennessee, the Broncos defensive lineman. And in Tennessee, he would reunite with Robert Saleh. Those two were together for 3 seasons in New York when Saleh was the head coach there. And we know that Robert Saleh, former 49ers defensive coordinator, is a defensive-minded guy. I think he's going to build that unit, that side of the ball, and I think he wants to do it with players that he's familiar with. We already saw him make a trade with the Jets to bring Jermaine Johnson to Tennessee, and so this would be another piece of that front 7 that Saleh knows. And John Franklin Myers has been one of the surprises of the past couple years in Denver. He's played well. He's going to earn a big payday. And as Ryan said, the Titans have a lot of salary cap money, so they can afford whatever his asking price ends up being.
I feel like I learned so much about you guys during these segments. Ryan Wilson, John Breech, thanks for getting us ready for what's to be a very crazy continuation of the NFL offseason, looking at the odds to win the AFC South. Our Jacqueline D'Agostino would be very happy with the news over here that the Jags at plus 165 tied up with the Texans to win it all.